32 years ago, I walked into an abortion clinic. I was 17 years old. My boyfriend and I had often talked of marriage and the children we would have someday. But the timing was wrong, and our parents, seeing how young we were, knowing the challenges that child rearing can bring, had decided this was the best course for us. None of us wanted abortion. No one hopes that abortion will be a part of his or her life. We all just wanted for me to be unpregnant, for everything to go on as it had before, with high school graduation, college plans, and a wedding someday. I had agreed to go, but it wasn't what I wanted. And from the moment the decision was made, I prayed that something would stop us from going to the abortion clinic. On the morning of the appointment, when my mom and I got in the car, stopping just once to pick up my boyfriend on the way, I found myself hoping for a car accident. Once we got to the parking lot, my last hope was that the elevator would break down and trap us inside. But we got to the waiting room full of people who, by unspoken agreement, did not look at one another, but stared at a small television. I remember that television would lose its picture every few minutes, and the sound would turn to static. Each time I imagined this was caused by some kind of medical device, and I tried not to picture tiny arms and legs and feet. But I knew too much about the procedure I would soon be facing. All I could do was pray. Surely God didn't want my baby's life to end. When I left the clinic, my life was changed forever, but not in the way you might think. I sometimes smile at the Bible story of Abraham and the day he laid his son Isaac on a table to die. I think I might know something about the way he felt. Only in my story, I was on the table too. By the grace of God, both Abraham and I got to see our sons grow up to be men. When the doctor examined me at the abortion clinic, he had determined my pregnancy was too far advanced for the procedures they performed there. I was given a phone number and told to make another appointment at another location, but I knew I wouldn't. At that moment, I traded college dreams for dirty diapers, booster clubs for booster shots, and football game fight songs for rocking chairs and lullabies. It wasn't necessarily easy spending my son's growing up years living from paycheck to paycheck, dealing with late notices on the utility bills, and serving my family another batch of macaroni and cheese or top ramen for dinner. But whatever difficulties came along, I have never regretted that trade, not for a moment. In 1982, the details of abortion weren't common knowledge. We didn't have YouTube footage of babies in the womb just a mouse click away. My mom didn't acknowledge, even to herself, that I wasn't just suffering from an enlarged uterus, as the doctor described it. Not until she called the clinic the day after our appointment, wondering if her daughter could possibly have something called a false pregnancy. The woman who answered the phone assured her that the sonogram they took to measure the age of my fetus clearly showed fingers and toes. That's the first time my mom really understood we were dealing with a baby and not just a problem. I think about a woman today who might choose abortion as the easiest solution to an unwanted pregnancy. I think about the day in her future when she might experience a wanted pregnancy, when she hears the tiny heartbeat with excitement, and she sees the image of a tiny person inside. An image so clearly not just the effects of an enlarged uterus, so clearly not just a nondescript mass of tissue. I wonder about that woman and all of the bittersweet moments of motherhood when the baby she didn't have might haunt her memory. And I thank God for not only saving my son's life, but for saving me from the pain of participating in his death. I don't know if that's a kind of pain that can ever fully go away. I thank God I walked out of that clinic still carrying my burden. I thank God for the gift my son is to me and to his dad, to his equally grateful grandparents, aunts, cousins, siblings, friends, and his wife. I thank God for sparing his life, and by virtue of that rescue, bringing even more life into the world in the form of my 3 grandchildren, and perhaps someday my son's grandchildren and great-grandchildren. And that's just one baby. When you think of it that way, who knows how many lost lives are represented by these crosses? On this day of grieving for all the babies who didn't get a chance to walk or talk or even cry, I also grieve for their mothers and fathers, grandparents, brothers and sisters. I grieve for those who took what looked like the easy way out of a problem and missed out on a person. Today, I mourn with all of you for the loss represented by these crosses. But as I look at them, I am also reminded of two immeasurable blessings. You already know about my first son, but I actually have two children who could have been numbered among those lost to abortion. My youngest son's early life is a mystery to me. He was found as a toddler wandering the streets of Manila. I don't know anything about his parents. I don't know why their son was trying to survive all by himself at the age of 4, but I suspect the circumstances surrounding his birth were not ideal. All I know for certain is whatever problems they have had, they didn't look at those problems as a reason this boy should not be born. And for that, I will always be grateful. When you look at these crosses, I hope you will not think of the women who briefly carried these babies as enemies to come against, but simply as people who saw abortion as the only way to fix an overwhelming problem. People who, in all likelihood, continue to suffer the effects of that choice in one way or another. Neither of my sons had an ideal start in life. One was born to teenage parents, and the other didn't experience true family life until he was adopted at the age of 12. But they were both given the opportunity to live and enrich the world. And both of their lives have been enriched by those who came along to support and counsel and love, and not to criticize or condemn. I pray that you who care so deeply for these lost children will be the kind of people who come alongside people like me and my family and do the same.